Martin, we're back on RCIRCLE. All of our work is typically live. What we're going to do is do a series of smaller bits of content with some interesting people. So today I'm joined by Antonio from Recruited. I'm going to get him to introduce himself, talk about him for a little bit, and then I've got a few questions to ask, and we'll see where we go from there. So Antonio, how are you?
I'm awesome, mate. Thanks so much for having me on today. It's nice to catch up. So I'm Antonio. I'm the CEO of a company called Recruited. We're a technology business for the recruitment industry. We build just technology products now. We have a tool called Leo, which is named after my son. It's a recruitment CRM and ATS. The target is demographic is for employers and also for agencies. We have a product called Brief Builder, which is basically a free tool for companies to use to build briefs with their hiring managers and collaborate more effectively. And then we have a tool called Alaska, which is named after my daughter. And by the way, I don't have a son or anything called Brief Builder. So
yeah, it's the awkward cousin Brief Builder.
Billy Brief. Then Alaska, which is a LinkedIn integration and works with Leo and also sits with you on other social channels and helps you put candidates into your database.
Marvellous. And that's the sales pitch over, because that's also part of the deal, wasn't it?
Didn't really know what to say.
No, it's brilliant. No, it's cool. It's that sort of thing. So I've got a couple of questions about specifically around Recruited. So there's a couple of things you've said there. So first of all, you're definitely moving more into an agency space. And how have you found that so far? Because again, we've had this conversation earlier on, which we should have been recording, everybody, that in-house versus agency, there's a different market, a different way of selling, a different whatever. How have you found it so far?
Yeah, so we made a decision end of last year to just focus purely on tech. We had an employer branding agency called Social, and that was also where we were supporting companies with doing hiring. At the point of last year, we decided to close down those because we just really wanted to focus on our technology. We spent 3 years building the tech, Martin. So for us, we spent 3 years building the business that we wanted to start. Do you know what I mean? And
do you think you got distracted along the way? We were talking about that earlier as well. That I'm the guy who totally says, yeah, I can do that. And did you feel almost that fear of missing out on the next big opportunity because you don't quite know it is or isn't until you...
To be honest, it wasn't about the distraction. It's about funding. I wanted to be self-funded, and basically to build technology. It's not cheap. We spent over £1 million building our product, and that would not have happened if we didn't sell. And I think a lot of businesses people who start businesses, they forget they need to go and sell first of all. And so for me, I was like, right, what do I know? I know marketing and I know recruitment. So let me just go and start a business out of that, and then fund the tech. So it may have looked to the market, okay, these guys are doing everything. And the reality is we were just doing that to build the tech. Now we're at a place where our tech is funding itself. So so it was, and also I am like a little bit of a dog, so to speak, we chuck a frisbee. I'm like, okay, I'll go after that. I am a bit of that. And so focus is key, but at the same time, it was just about funding the tech.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how are you finding, because we talked earlier on about the mix between selling to an agencies versus in-house. And so for both of us, I've had an agency background and moved in-house. You've done agency, sold to in-house. You've got these sort of stereotypes of everybody that you meet. Is there a difference between selling to agencies?
100%. I find that, and you can see it all over LinkedIn. I find that a lot of people have ego, and actually it's important. If you want to build a brand, you need to have some sort of ego, right? Especially in your social presence. I get it. I understand. But at the end of the day, when you're communicating with someone directly, or they DM you, or they call you, or whatever, I found that maybe 8 times out of 10. An employer contact, maybe internal recruiter, would be rude to a supplier or an agency. Whereas, 8 times out of 10, when we're targeting agencies, my sales team target agencies, we're having really great conversations because everyone's interested in the latest tech. People really are interested in how they can improve their business for it. So I think I don't know if it's more open-mindedness. And I don't know if it's not a person thing, because no one's in deep down. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone's a nice person. Yeah. I do think that when you're inundated probably with suppliers, with agencies, and you can get bogged down with it. Whereas like agencies, maybe because they're talking to more people all the time, they're more open to conversations, and they're more open to having, a demo or whatever. But I think, in my opinion, with agencies, I've had a lot, or my team have had a much better experience in terms of human experience, like human interaction, because I just found that there's less ego. I don't know.
I wonder if it's to do with the space as well. That, you know, even as a recruiter in an agency, I've got a commercial head that says, you know, I've got a billing target. I'm going to have to go earn some money. I'm going to make the best way of making me do that is to have good relationships with my candidates, with my clients. And to be fair, I mean, without selling, you're rocking up and saying, actually, I've got a better way of facilitating that. I can manage your life a lot easier, make you more efficient. I mean, I'm not sure what your hard sell is about, whether it's efficiency or engagement. It's probably a bit of both. About managing the process more effectively and giving people more options.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that. I also think that there is. I don't know. I just think that. I think people are just more down to earth in an agency space than they are. They're less highly strung. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's because I don't know the answer, but it's just my experience that I've had. And so it has, you know, when we changed to just we focus on agencies and employers, but our sales team internally only focus on employers. We have technology partners who put our technology into employers, but we don't go after that market just because it's just not a market that we.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I said, and not spoken to you for a while. That's not a jump into something different, but it's certainly a much more of a focused sell. I can see why it works. I think for me personally, I think the agency space is ripe for some innovation, some change, and some other technology that in-house companies have been using. Really works in an agency space. And you imagine sort of, you know, quite a good agency recruiter armed with some decent tech could be much more effective than they are currently. I've got to ask you about the names. So you must get that all the time. I started messing around with making a product in one of my kids' names, but then awkwardly one of my non-execs, hi Russell, said, don't do that. You've done it anyway. Is there what's the question I'm looking for? Is there a danger that people think it's just a marketing gimmick, that you've called one of your products after your son and one of your products after your daughter, and it becomes a thing? I mean, or is it just the way that you see it?
There's a danger that people are going to think that everything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm so beyond thinking about what other people think about me now. You know, I'm just so beyond that. It's like, it's just not even worth it. Like, I'm more concerned about how well my product is, what great technology we're building, how well we're adding value to our customers, and how well our employees are treated. That's my concern. Yeah. That's why I choose to now remove myself from any of the negative spaces like LinkedIn, because I will jump in when I need to. I've still got the profile there, but I'm not on it actively because I just think it's just it's a cesspool. It's a toxic place.
Well, you've answered some of the questions I was going to ask you, because that's a big thing. So for somebody who's got their own business, is actively marketing all the time. You know, every time I meet you, there's a little soundbite. You're not actually doing the hard sell on me particularly ever. It's a little soundbite of, we've just done this. It's really interesting. LinkedIn is full of that, and yet you've, as you say, deliberately taken yourself out of that. That's quite a bold, brave move. How's it gone?
To be honest, it's been amazing. Obviously my sales team, I've got a team of salespeople who are on LinkedIn. They need to be, but for me, it's allowed me to really just focus in on shit. You know, I know probably a lot of people, they'll finish this call. You'll probably do it, or whoever, I don't know, and then, or they'll finish a call, they'll finish a task, or even in the middle of a task, they'll just go to LinkedIn and click refresh. Refresh. And you just find yourself, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. You've got LinkedIn open, you do Command Tab, and then you type in LinkedIn and open LinkedIn again in another tab. It's like, but these tools like social media are designed to be addictive, right? They're designed to be addictive. So it's a challenge, but the biggest reason for me leaving LinkedIn was purely because I find it the most toxic social media channel out there. And there are social media channels that have young people on, like TikTok, and there's less bullying that happens on those TikTok channels than LinkedIn, because people, you know, particularly they confuse their ego in an office workplace, because obviously, the very nature of corporations and capitalism is that, the best get to the top or whatever. Yeah. So obviously people in corporate structures, they often will have a bigger ego than someone who's lower down than them, and they'll treat them like that. But then they forget that actually they're treating someone they've never been spoken to before. They see a post and it triggers them for some reason. and then they have to comment on it like with negativity or whatever, and spends as time in their day to comment on something negative, and you're like, well, you could be doing other things. So I'm just so sick of the negativity and the toxicity of LinkedIn. And to be honest, like I said, my well-being shut up, my positivity shut up, and my business has actually gone through the roof. I've actually had more inbound, not on LinkedIn, via email, since I've actually stopped focusing on LinkedIn, which is weird. Maybe it's the universe opening up. Maybe it's the law of attraction. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But
I mean, there's something in that. I mean, to coin a bigger name in being a CEO. So Stephen Bartlett has done the similar thing. He's also, I listened to one of his podcasts again the other day, just about that obsession that we all have with what are they saying? What are people saying? What are they saying? They say, and as soon as you get somebody who's, I'm going to use the word hater or detractor or something, but it's something like, and he puts you in that mood. I've done it myself. I did it myself yesterday, funny enough. It's like, right, you just said that. Right, whoa. And you go, and actually, even if you don't hit send, you've wasted energy on that thing. Whereas they said that energy could be much more productively used. Either go for a run, go and play while I become a Fortnite champion. I'm determined to become a professional Fortnite player. I'm okay. I'm not bad.
It's passion, isn't it?
I'm aiming for the big prize. It's $3 million is the big prize. I'm a way off that, but with hard effort. I mean, the coronavirus has given me the opportunity to sort of hone my game a little bit more, put the hours in. But that would be more productive than right. Because actually, also what I've also found is as soon as you hit send on that one, there's going to be another one, because there's always another one.
That's what
this goes on.
Why, with some people, I just say, well, why don't we meet up and talk about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's
how do you say that? Do you say, like you just did, why don't we meet up and talk about it? Or do you go, why don't we meet up and talk about it?
I mean, in my head, I'm like, I'm ready for any scenario. But like at the same time,
they never show, do they? I just said that they keep them
like, why don't if you genuinely are concerned about this post, like, let's have a chat offline. Or why don't we just meet up and discuss? Because like that's the thing, is that most people won't. They'll go, no, I won't do that. But if I felt so strongly about something, I would go and meet that person and have a discussion with them. It wouldn't be a fight or anything. I'm just saying.
No. But you want to get in front of them and say, what's the deal? What do you actually think? Ask me.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone is a keyboard warrior. Do you know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's just, bless LinkedIn, great platform, served me well, absolutely served me well. But at the same time, it's just, I just feel like at this stage in my life, I need to take my business to a different stage, different level. We've been a startup for 3 years. We're still a startup, of course, but, I want us to be a bit more of a sophisticated business.
I think it's really interesting. I'd say, and actually, I mean, it's part of it. I said, but I'm going to watch it because I think that decision to consciously opt out of something. I said, we said earlier on, 600 million users, perhaps. Not actually sure about that number. It's a LinkedIn number, which is not quite the same thing. 600 million accounts, which I think is true. But yeah, the almost the other thing I found recently, maybe again it's because of coronavirus, is thinking that that's real, isn't it? That little bubble that you see in front of you. It's actually not got that many people in that pool there, and they're all from the same sort of, in my world, lots of in-house recruiters and whatever else. Do you spend more time on Facebook now as a result? Because that's the other thing that people are starting to transition a little bit more. I think maybe the lines have been blurred between Facebook and life. And, once upon a time, LinkedIn was business and Facebook was home, and it's become a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've spent time on Facebook because I think it's because if Facebook has got people I want to be connected with. Do you know what I mean? Like, LinkedIn was a business tool, and it was used to develop business in the past for me when I had to do it by myself. But now, to be honest, I don't really spend during my day. I'm not actually on social channels. Maybe I'll like browse through Instagram, or whatever, but I'm not actively posting or whatever. I'm literally just working on my business and working on what the product, working on the team, working on whatever it may be. Working with the sales team, training people up, working with our marketing team as well. So
that's really cool. Conscious of the time, and thank you because you've taken loads of your time. I'm going to try and wrap up and do something. I'm trying to think of a really good question. What's the best question you've ever been asked by anybody? I've made loads of notes about you. Let's go there. Let's talk about the Marmite nature of you. So we talked earlier on about groups and individuals and communities and a bunch of other stuff. I'm a bit of a fanboy. I've always said that you're Marmite to some, because they miss something. They misunderstand the Antonio that's actually there. For me, actually, you've always been pretty consistent, but other people don't necessarily see that.
Mm.
Is that something that you think? I mean, some of that's related into things like LinkedIn, isn't it? It is about social media. It is about some other stuff that almost by putting yourself out there as you have, that by default you're always going to get more shit because you're out there, because you've said, oh, look at me. If nothing, whatever you do on LinkedIn at some point or on social media, at some point it's got to be, look at me, I'm doing this. And does that change you? What am I trying to say? Have you changed your outlook on life? So you've given up LinkedIn, you've given up a bit more social media. Are you just stepping away a little bit from look at me and much more look at the business, look at the product?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I think maybe it's maturity. Maybe I'm like 31 next month, so.
Oh, you're old man.
I think, you know, I'm a father. Do you know what I mean? I've got kids, and you know, like I've got a team of 20 I need to look after. Yeah. You know, and if I just, you know, often people who are shouting about things, and you know, it's more because they want the world to recognize them, whereas now I'm more about like, let's just focus in on the business. I want to take this business to a more sophisticated place, you know, and not to be like a startup in the recruitment industry or whatever. I want to be a pure technology business. So the outlook on life, I suppose, has changed. And it's made me realize that actually I think people, they misunderstand things and they take things at face value. You'll go and look at, so you just take this, for example, if you go onto Instagram, you see a lot of these posts of like people who are standing in a certain way. They've probably taken 1,000 photos to get that perfect photo, and people believe that that's actually them. You know what I mean? They believe that that's them, but you go and meet them in real life, they're not actually that person. Same as like when you met me, when we actually met face to face, we discussed this, didn't we? We
did. Yeah, you're very different in the flesh than you are in online, or at least that on the online stuff that I had seen. That's the other thing, isn't it? I don't necessarily. There's always a danger. You only pick out the bits that you're either presented to from other people. Look at this. It tends to be the more sensational. Not being funny, I've never really take this away. There's a bit of your life, I suspect, on YouTube somewhere I've never looked at or seen because I've gone, oh, right. As with a load of stuff out there, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Well, and that's another thing is that, you know, there are people who are conscious, who take time out of their day to discredit someone and make them look in a certain light. You know, look at him, he's doing this, blah blah blah, and then everyone loves a bitching session. So you know they'll love to. You know, there's a question. There's a quote by Zig Ziglar. He's like, it's about a pity party. He said, you know, he said everyone turns up to a pity party, but no one brings any presents. Do you know what I mean? And everyone turns up to a bitching session, you know, even if they don't want to. And so then you start believing a narrative. You're being spun by a certain person or a certain group, and you don't really think critically about it. And that's what social media is. You know, it's a great tool, but if you think critically, you know that that's not that person. Like, you know, it's not that person. We'll worry about the same coughs. We'll worry about the same leg aches, arm aches, toothache. No one's different. You know what I mean? We're all humans just trying to do a job, just trying to get through. But on LinkedIn, I find that people, and in the professional community, people forget that, you know, we are just a bunch of people together. You wouldn't speak, like half the comments you see, not in just on my post, but on other people's posts, when someone's putting someone down, you wouldn't go up to someone in the street and say that to them.
No. You wouldn't even get anywhere near it, would you? You wouldn't. Yeah, no. You
wouldn't. And so what gives them the right to be able to speak to people like that on LinkedIn, you know? And I think it's just full of ego bullies. And so, yeah, to answer your question, just to step back, it has changed my outlook. You know, this whole, I guess, experiment I've done over the past 3 years, you know, by even at some points being antagonistic in the post, do you know what I mean? At some points, you know, really driving attention, clickbait, whatever it may be, to see what would happen. But what it's made me realize, it doesn't mean shit. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. I've got 23,000 followers on LinkedIn, connections, whatever you call it. But it doesn't mean shit. You know, what means stuff is actually the personal interactions you have with people every day, like your team, your family, you know what I mean? And just driving great work. So the less time I'm able to spend in silly arguments, stupid, you know, trying to justify kindness, trying to justify, you know, whatever it may, my actions, you know, less time I can spend in that, the more time I can spend in actually building great stuff and improving people's lives. That sounds like a fucking. I
just want world peace and to improve people's lives. I know what you mean.
I just want people to buy my CRM. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, actually, and that's a really good place to finish. So, Antonio, I'm going to thank you for your time today. it's been really interesting because I said for me, I think talking to you demonstrates some of the things that I said. I think I saw when I first met you for real, that you aren't exactly what you appear to be, and I really wish every success in the business. I think being brave and saying no to things, I think we touched this earlier, is really difficult when you're running your own business, turning stuff away that you can do, but it actually isn't core to what you want to be anymore. I think it's a really interesting thing. So thank you so much, and goodbye.
And and keep. Oh, you're going now. Are you going?
I don't know. I'm not really going. What I'm going to do is.
Cool. We're ending the interview. All right.
I'm going to do.